DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's AMA. Let's see. Give me just a moment, because I tried something new on Arena, and it does not seem to be working. So I'm going to end our stream there and start a new one, and then we'll get things rolling.
Yeah, I've noticed if you're doing the pro stream, you have to like reset that key thing like pretty much every single time. So even if you've already started the stream, you reset the key and throw it into your device or your program or whatever, and it'll just start working. Maybe.
Yeah, this time I tried to pre-schedule it, and then when I turned it live, it just never seemed to pick up the stream.
Tough break.
There we go.
I noticed when we... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry, you're fine. We are live now, everywhere that I meant us to be. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's AMA. And thank you for those of you on YouTube bearing with us as we got us up and running on Arena. Well, I'm going to go over to Winston because I interrupted him. Winston, how are you doing today? What did you want to say? Good. And who are you fighting?
Today I've got some their ruffles and their sour cream and cheddar.
Those are the best ruffles.
Classic ruffle, you know. I like the original ones. I think they're good too, but it's true that these ones are a little bit better, I think. I'm actually doing 2 fights today, so I effed up, as they say, so I was supposed to send Stardust some bout invites earlier, and I saw that he was online, so I waited like 20 minutes and then did them and sent him over, and I must have just missed him, so he hasn't been able to join those yet, so I'm going to fight him at like 2:30, and then our old friend TuneFed has agreed to step in and fight me here in the next like 5 minutes or so. So if you haven't sponsored or voted, head over there and do that. That's probably the best thing you could do. Get over there and do it. You got 5 minutes. Looks like there's already some sponsoring done on it and some voting done on it. So you don't want to miss out on that bunch of jewel. And then also by sponsoring on it, you'll get in the mix on the giveaway stuff that I'll be doing tomorrow morning. I decided that I'm just going to do them on Friday morning in perpetuity. It's just easier for me. I don't know. After this, I'm usually like hungry and like a little pissed off from having talked so much for so long. And I think it's just better to do them on Friday morning. So I'll just start scheduling those Thursday afternoon for Friday morning. And Bolon, the thing when you cut me off, the thing I was going to say, kind of rude, but also I get we're kind of on a live stage, so you got to get things moving. But the thing I was going to say is that when you started, you were like, okay, guys, I'm going to start the stream. And I swear to God, it sounded like you were like fiddling with a tape deck or something. It was like, you know, and then your film kind of moving. And like, so my question is, what were you doing exactly there? What were you doing?
Honestly, I think I was messing with Arena, turning it on to make sure that it was ready to go, which then it wasn't. But I actually do use during these AMAs a 4-foot, 80-pound camera from the mid 80s. So wow. I gotta load the tape reel and everything.
You got like a best boy and the key guy, the key grip guy is running your old camera.
Yeah, there's actually a boom operator next to me right now as well.
All right, well, that's it for me. Things are good for me, I guess. Gonna do a little camping this weekend, do a little testing this week. Been trying to make a spot on Arena, get in there and meet people. And it's been going all right over there. I guess Arena seems pretty cool for the most part. A lot of robots over there, I think. A lot of bots, a lot of not real people that tell you they love you and that they're dreaming about you, and then they're not. My understanding is that they're not. They don't love you, and they're not dreaming about you at all. So I'm taking my glasses off so you can see how serious I am. That's not cool. Don't that unless you mean it. Or, throw it around. It's fine if you just want to throw it around. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm wearing my Codex Hero shirt today. I think
Nice.
I didn't realize I was backwards. I guess I'm backwards on here, but I'm wearing that today.
Oh, you're backwards
Somebody
to yourself, but not to us. It's the right way for us.
really? All
Yeah.
right, perfect. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what's going on with me. I'll fire it back over to you, and I think Toon and I are going to get started here in a minute or two. So I'll pop that up on the screen, and don't forget to vote on that or sponsor it or both, whatever you feel like doing. Thanks, Bolon.
Nice. Thank you. Hubert, how are you doing today?
Man, I just don't think that I can stand anywhere close to the glory of what Winston just did just now. Like, I was laughing so much. That was good stuff, Winston. Good stuff. I'm doing pretty well. I gave my son his first haircut yesterday, and I am very much not a professional hair cutter at all. My first time cutting hair, besides one time when I was in high school, and I thought I could fix my hair in the back and ruined it completely. Now he looks like Will from Stranger Things season 1, but it's also super cute. But if you recall from that show, Will is super poor and has a parent that just cuts his hair and also doesn't have those skills. And so that's what life is like right now. So this is my attempt at humor here. But yeah, things are good.
You nailed it. You nailed the humor. Dreamer, Dreamer, last but not least, how are you doing today? We may never
I'm
know.
here.
Oh, there
Yes,
you
I'm here. I'm doing okay. I don't feel very good. I think I'm getting sick. It's not cool. But that's all right. Other than that, I enjoyed Winston's intro and stoked for AMA today and all the juicy questions we got in and everybody joining. What's up, everybody?
Very nice. Let's roll into some updates and then we'll jump into some questions as well. I am going to pass it back over to Hubert. We've got some maintenance going on right now. Anything you want to share on that front?
We do. Yeah, so it's kind of a twofold thing that we're doing right now. For the first piece is we are updating the tournament system to now support trait limiting, and which requires us like up until this point, the heroes on Metis did not have any tracking of what their genes were on chain, so the contract wouldn't be able to do anything to filter out for anything. And so we have adjusted that so that we are now including that as data that gets bridged over. And so we need to upgrade the bridges for that. And we're also going to be updating the data on all of the heroes that are already there that have been bridged prior to this point to include their genes. So there's kind of a lot of heroes that need to be updated. I think there was like 120,000 heroes or so that were there. So a pretty big chunk that we're going to need to update there. But so that will be an option. It will be available for people that are making custom tournaments as well. If you want to try to do that, which I think you did mention in the announcement, if for those that saw that in our Discord, like you have the options to either limit things by like on a per hero basis, where you can do like a trait score, which basically like depending on what level of advanced your trait is, its score starts at 0 for a basic trait. The next level up is 1 and 2 and 3. So if it's like you're limited to a trait score of 5, then you could have like 1 second life and I'm not sure, a couple advanced traits, and then that would be as much as you could have, and the rest would have to all be I guess the last one would have to be basic. So something like that, or you also have the ability to just say, no elite or exalted traits if you want to, or you can have it be based on a whole team and just kind of add up all the traits that the team has and limit things that way. So we're gonna try introducing some of that with the Patroller Limited tournaments, which you'll see when we get those pushed, or that'll be sometime today. Which I think we're going to do a team limit of 10. So like you'll still be able to bring a second life hero. Just if you do that, that's 3 of your 10 points for that one trait, but you still, you can make it work. So that is being added as an option. There's also a second thing, which was resolving a bug that caused some heroes that had used atonement crystals and lesser atonement crystals to increase their HP and MP. Some heroes did not get that properly tracked in their reset data. And just I won't go into the details about why that happened, but we're fixing that for those heroes. And I think we've already resolved that for all the heroes that are on Kaya that were in that boat. And then we're currently working on updating that for DFK Chain, and then I think we'll move on to the ones on Metis last. So I think there were about 2,000 heroes that were impacted. So it wasn't a very large list, but if you happen to have one of those heroes, or felt like maybe something wasn't tracking right, you probably didn't even notice, because you wouldn't see it unless you had reset your hero, and there were like 7 that had. So anyway. So yeah, we're fixing that too. So once that's all done, we'll get the bridges back up and everything online, and then we'll have the trait limiting and the we'll have kind of that bad data all resolved as well. So excited to kind of get that all cleared up.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the trait options as well. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Adds a new angle for hosted tournaments as well. Like Hubert said, right now we're just trying them out in patrollers to get a feel for it. We may do some other stuff. The top end is going to remain competitive, so I wouldn't expect anything at the top end. But we might mix in some dailies and that kind of thing that have some trait limits on them as well, just to keep things fresh and offer different opportunities for different folks, and different heroes giving different heroes a chance to shine. So looking forward to seeing how that all plays out, and of course it'll be adjusted as we go and see how things work out. After that last update, and then we will roll into some questions. For anyone who has not seen the announcement yet, first and foremost, shame on you, read our announcements. But no, I'm kidding. We are coming to an end of our first Transcendence kickoff event. So you have until what was it, 11:59:59, or no, 23:59:59 UTC on the 28th. So essentially end of day UTC on the 28th for that first Transcendence event. But we are doing another one, so it will start immediately following that. So at midnight UTC on the 29th, the new one will start. It is also going to run for 30 days as well. The prize list is similar, but a little bit different. So there are a couple more Gen Zeros up for grabs, but this time, instead of the Cerulean Helm of Ascension, it is the Cinnabar Helm of Ascension, which actually has a bonus that has never been seen before. It gives the hero that is wearing it a chance to reduce the amount of battle budget used when they use a consumable. So you may be getting a discount on a potion that hero uses in combat. So that's going to be another, new bonus, new angle to weigh out against other accessory options. So I'm really excited for that. Outside of that, it's going to work very similarly. There's still 2 different raffles within that 30-day period. The first one is based on hero score from heroes transcended, as well as the amount of divine essence brought in from pets that are transcended. The second one is like a quantity raffle, so it's 1 entry per hero that is transcended. However, a little bit different. You actually get 2 entries per pet that is transcended. As a reminder, you cannot transcend pets without them being equipped to a hero. So essentially, instead of a 2x multiplier on that hero, it's a 3x multiplier instead. So really looking forward to seeing that kick off. I know there was a question about it, so we'll just go ahead and talk about it while we're here. Basically, the question was just asking why we were changing the rule set on this one a little bit. I talked about it a little bit in Discord, but just, mixing it up, A, for fun, and to do something a little bit different, and B, just to add that little bit extra incentive to keep people transcending their heroes and pets. But I wanted to also pass it over to Hubert for anything that you wanted to add on thoughts on this second one and why we're changing it up a little bit.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things, just the stats we've seen so far, and this is kind of stale. I think it was like 2 days ago, but we were close to 70,000 heroes burned over this last month, and about 10,000 pets were among those. So a 1 in 7 ratio of attached pets is a little bit disappointing. So we wanted to kind of amp it up a little bit and give a little bit more motivation to include those as you go. So yeah, I mean, this will apply for this new raffle. Everything with this the current one is not going to be impacted by that. So whatever entries you've gotten or are still able to get within this last remaining amount of time will apply towards getting the current the Cerulean Helm of Ascension and the Gen Zeros for this time, and then next time will be a different contest. So
Nice. Yeah, and these are entirely independent contests. So after Saturday, we will close out that first one. We'll pull all that data, schedule the drawing for it, and then at the same time, people will be accumulating entries into the second one. But they are entirely separate. There's no rollover. There's none of that. But yeah, looking forward to it, and looking forward to continuing to see some heroes transcended. Awesome. We are going to jump into questions, and actually, incredibly appropriately related to pets. Hubert, any chance that we could add a multi-function to the pet exchange contract for those that wish to trade in a couple of pets for a new egg?
Yeah, that wouldn't be too hard to add to the contract. The front end side of that, I think, would be a little bit more work. So I guess it'd be a question of like when we'd want to prioritize something like that. Adding it to the contract would be pretty simple. But I guess if you do want to be trading in pets, I mean, we just barely talked about this contest. Like now would be a good time to use the multi equip function to equip a bunch of pets to a bunch of heroes, and then the multi transcend function to transcend them all. So that would be an option right now, anyway.
Awesome. Jumping over to Dreamer. In the past, we have expressed caution and self-restriction at the good advice of legal counsel with some various things. With the dramatic shift in the US lately around crypto, any changes to that? Anything we're looking at? Anything that we've looked at in the past that we're reconsidering? Any, I guess, general update in regards of our outlook due to the regulatory environment?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because if anything shifts one way and it's based on a change in like people in office, it could easily shift the other way. But I think in the past, one of the things that was biggest like risk or concern was the definition of an exchange. I think there were rumors for many years that that was going to be updated officially, that would essentially capture kind of what most Uniswap fork dexes do. As right now, there's a couple things that make it fall outside of it, given how liquidity works on the blockchain, even though there are risks associated with providing liquidity and related losses. It seems like focus there has been shifted like way away, but we don't know for sure either. The additional focus is that crypto is like less villainized, but intended to be more regulated. We really don't know what that turns into. And if we were to go crazy, which I don't even know what like thing we'd go crazy on or big opportunity we're missing out on. But if we were, and then things were to shift back, that would be unfortunate. So we're going to continue to watch, but I think things are pretty good for Bitcoin and the perception of Bitcoin and the related technologies around Bitcoin. Unclear on how like quote unquote safe it is outside of that. I guess we're gonna have to see how everything shakes out. But if you look at listings on US centralized exchanges, if we had liquidity and the path to approval and budget to pay for fees and everything, I think relative to the past, we would be more comfortable now. I think there's a lot less like concern around like being on certain lists, and also a shift in like the witch hunt around that. The exchange definition mentioned that, although we don't know for sure. That could be worked on as well. Memes have been something that have been more broadly accepted, as like even prominent figures have been launching, but we've never really had an intent to launch like a purely worthless token that is just a meme for the most part. So it doesn't really fit in with our genre either. I think anything around gaming, we could have seen a lot of developments that could have just made any NFT out there, utility or not, really concerning. So that is more of a relief that nothing has progressed there. So unfortunately, I think the question is asking, like, is there anything that we could be doing with the pullback in regulation that's like a big opportunity to either bring in money or players or users? I don't see that opportunity, but at least some of the tail risk events that could have like greatly deterred us, like if we had to completely shift how everything is tradable in the game. And that would have been hard to figure out. How do you have a game full of tokenized assets that we can't support an exchange of? So happy we haven't had to solve for those, but also not sure like what big opportunities out there that we could capitalize on. Just seems like a lower probability of certain risks that are still probability of like greater than zero.
Awesome. Thank you, Dreamer. Appreciate the insights as always. Real quick side note, TuneFed finally managing to bring down Winston Sear. That was like the fourth time that Sear was real low health and he just could not close it out, but then turned around and took down the Archer right behind it too.
Yeah, unfortunate. You know, what can you do? I think I might just. This Seer was supposed to be kind of glass cannony, but he just is like pretty much glass. So he might be
Missed
going in
cannon
the
part.
goo. Yeah, he's not more glass, less cannon, and it's not going super well. But that's okay. I think I could still win this. I got a feeling. I got a funny. No, I'm probably not going to be able to win this. That's okay. Still haven't heard from. Oh wait, no. Looks like Stardust accepted one of those. So you got 5 minutes to get over there and vote. The other one is like 10 minutes away, and I'm guessing he'll probably accept those pretty soon too. And okay, yeah, he's messaging me now. Hey, buddy, welcome to the. He's probably not listening though. But yeah, it looks like he's here. So those will be joined any moment now, and make sure to get in there and vote on those.
Yes, and congratulations, TuneFed, on this first victory. That was a hard-fought Seer to kill. Amusingly, you had his Archer really low, and then he blocked your Frostbolt there, and then your follow-up Frostbolt critted and would have been enough to kill it the first time, but he had a chance to heal it.
Yeah, what can you do? Made some choices. Didn't get lucky. Did get lucky, you know. Sometimes you get lucky at the wrong times, and it's like this reverse not lucky. It makes no sense, is what I'm trying to say here. So
it happens.
Get over there and vote on those other games, and sponsor them if you want to be part of the drawing. So all three of these will count, and all since there's 3 and you got to sponsor 3 times, I'll make it a better giveaway tomorrow when it runs. So we'll get those fired up. Thanks, Bullon.
Matches against Stardust. We'll be watching. Don't let us down. Jumping back to questions and really diving into Hubert Hour in earnest now. First one for you, Hubert. Is there any information on the Glory and Honor system that we can share regarding how it will work and or whether it's being actively worked on?
Let's see. So I guess the second part of that question is easier to answer than the first, I'd say, which is, yeah, we are looking at the system right now and have, a bunch of, a bunch of plans have kind of come together for it. So we are, looking to see what we can do there. And I don't really want to talk more about like what it will be or anything like that. But I'll just say, yes, that is something that we're actively looking at the moment.
Very nice. Stay tuned to learn more. In the future, do you foresee with land utility being able to rent prime locations for Jewel or Sea Jewel or something?
Yeah, I guess that that question has a bit of nuance to it. Like if you mean like the entire land and its location, like of the whole thing, um, potentially not. But if it is something where like within the land there is something that you can do where other players can make use of, like, so you kind of think of like a plot of land as like almost like a little fiefdom, like a tiny little city or town or village, whatever. So like within that, there may be things that you could do with other players, I would say. But as far as like the entire thing itself, that's probably not where we're going to go with it. But it's also still kind of early to say everything that's going to be with land functionality right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Any thoughts on having a like seasonal accessory crafter? So back in the day when we first introduced some accessories such as the cooler head, they did not have bonuses on them. And then some of our newer accessories do have bonuses on them. Any thoughts on allowing trade in, probably not a 1-to-1 ratio, but some kind of ratio where you can trade those older accessories for a new version of them that would have a bonus?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do that. Those accessories, they do still have like enchantment slots on them. So once we get durability out, we will also include some enchanting as well. So you would have options of things you could do to like make those more functional. But also we will add the ability for you to convert equipment into visages as well. So if you just, if you like the cooler head and you want to have it, wear it, you would be able to like have it as a visage instead. Or any of the other ones that we did as well. So I think that's probably the direction we're going to go at, like building a whole new contract and working out bonuses for everything and all that is kind of a lot of work that I think would be better time. That time would be better spent elsewhere.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Any thoughts on having the option to exclude atrophy in self-hosted tournaments?
Yeah, we could probably work something out for that. It's going to take time before we could do that, but I have an idea of what we could do to solve that. I will also say though, like with what we're working on right now with the updated sudden death mode and adding like banked shot clock time, the idea with the banked shot clock time is like if there was a certain threshold of time in there, then we would have atrophy not be active for that tournament anyway. So that would be kind of, I guess, in the closest to release design path. I think if you just were to switch on bank shot clock time, then you would be able to do that. So
nice. Similarly, any thoughts on lowering the minimum of 25-second shot clock?
Yes, we're planning on doing that too. It'll probably go down to a minimum of 10 seconds. But that is kind of a part of this whole bank shot clock effort and is planned to be included.
Nice. Also, it actually wasn't asked, but it's along the same vein, so I was going to mention it. But the minimum of 3 hours to start a hosted tournament, I believe we are also planning on reducing that as well, correct?
I think that was just a front end limit on that one. So yes.
Tentative, yes.
If Zip is listening, I gotta go double check. But I believe on the, where is it? And there it is. Yeah. So yeah, the contract doesn't have that strict of a limit on it. So I just, if Zip's listening, or I can just poke him later, and he could just needs to change a number somewhere.
Cool. Several little improvements on the list. All right. Actually, Hubert gets a little bit of a break. I'm going to take a couple questions here. Can we get a total number of heroes at the top in the tavern rather than showing how many heroes are on the page. This one we've actually talked about before. The main thing is that the front end does not load them all at one time to try to just save on usage. So rather than saying, oh, you filtered for this and there's 30,000 heroes that match that criteria, or 300,000, and we're going to load all of them at one time, it actually just loads them in those batches of 100, which is why it does not show a total number, because it doesn't try to query it and load them all. So is it possible? Yes, but it would be a bit of a revamp, and it would actually end up taking more bandwidth than what the current system uses. Let's see. So this next question was about Hyperplay and their MetaMask like game finding tool. Evidently, our listing is a little outdated. Yes, that's a good call out, and we will get that updated. We actually have a good relationship with Hyperplay. They're really good people, so I will put that on my list to take a look at what is on there and what needs to be on there and get with them to get that updated. But that's a good call out. I appreciate it. All right, back to Hubert. Any thoughts or challenges on having a more dynamic formula for bad RNG? For example, if your Berserker has, hit your own teammate twice in a row during Berserk, it's increasingly less likely that they would hit your team again. Or if you didn't apply a certain status effect, it's more likely the next time. That kind of setup.
Yeah, so I guess on the Berserker part of that question, I think something like that would be something that maybe would get adjusted through balance testing and be something specific to just how the Berserker functions. On the rest of it, that gets pretty complicated pretty quickly. Like if you're, you need to be tracking each individual hero's individual states. If you do a multi-hit attack that has 3 different status, or even sometimes 4 different status effects. Like I think with Rapid Shot, if you were using the bow, I forget the name of it, but the one from the tournaments, I believe that has 2 different status effects on it. So it's like every time you hit with that, there'd be like 6 status effects total that could have happened, but they're all really low chance. Like it gets pretty complicated. Like, where do you draw a line? Why do you want these really low chances to keep growing? Does that affect the next thing they do where it's like a 50% chance? Like they do the stun trait, and instead of it being 50%, it's now 70%. There's a lot there, and it gets very complicated, and would probably take a lot of time to make something that feels good. And if we did that, we'd need to apply it everywhere too. So we've talked about this sort of thing before. It's always kind of come down to, it's like, do we really need to do it? Like the game does work as it is now. I mean, there is RNG for sure. And it, you can get lucky and win, or get unlucky and lose. But part of that unpredictability is in my mind, part of the fun of it, and that, it's not a deterministic game. Like you can get kind of really unlucky, but then still kind of pull through. Sometimes you can, be doing pretty well, and then everything kind of falls apart. That just like how you deal with the random nature of the game is kind of a part of the strategy and fun of it in my mind. I don't see us like really leaning into something like that anytime soon. Like, there are maybe lesser complicated versions where we don't look at status effects, and we don't look at, specifically the Berserker hitting allies, but just like misses in general, and can maybe say, we'll try to avoid, or like if you miss like 3 times in a row, maybe you get a little accuracy buff for your next attack or something. Like something like that would be more simple than, if we're paying attention to every single thing that can happen, especially when there's a lot of things that can happen that are really low chance. Like it can really pile on quickly. And I think depending on what you're looking at too, it kind of gets imbalanced, because some classes have multi-hit attacks that would give them an advantage with that system. Other classes don't, and so on. So that's a tough one, but I understand, I guess, the thrust of the question. I think with Berserker in general, that one is just even more beholden to RNG because you don't control it a lot of the time. So in terms of like how we balance that class, like there is a lot of thought that kind of goes into what can be adjusted for it. But anyway, kind of a nuanced answer. We'll continue to think about it, but I don't see us like changing anything really soon.
Nice. Quick question from chat: does Dex help Berserkers?
Certainly, yeah. I mean, Dex is the accuracy stat for any physical attack, so it will definitely help their accuracy. But that it doesn't change like the 10. I think was it 10% chance, 15% chance.
I think it's 10.
10 to hit your ally. Like that doesn't change based on Dex. That's just a flat thing. So
Awesome. Actually going to give you a little bit of a break again, unless you want to add anything to this question, which you very well might, but I can at least kick it off. Question regarding lore, and if we have any thoughts on bringing someone in to, be more dedicated to like creating game lore. I'll just say from my perspective, not something that I think we would prioritize currently. We are trying to always be cautious of our budget. And so, I don't think it's something that we'd be prioritizing right now. That said, I do think that our game folks, Hubert, Beetle, Second Best Dad, Workhorse, and others do a really good job of injecting lore like into each feature. So, Transcendence is the like most recent example of, you've got this battle going on between Gaia and the Void. The Void's creeping into the realm, which is what Void hunts are. And now you are transcending heroes to go fight in this grand astral battle between Gaia and the Void. So I do want to give y'all a shout out and a lot of credit for the lore that is injected. But as far as having somebody, dedicated to like grand overworld lore, I don't think that's something that we would be prioritizing currently. But anything that you guys want to add on that front before I move to the next question?
Yeah, I guess I'll just say on our end, like, yeah, we do have like a specific meeting we hold usually once a month to talk about lore within the game committee. So like we do try to handle it without like having a dedicated person, and I guess it does mean like we're not like building a main story quest kind of feel with cutscenes or anything like that right now. Right now our main focus is game features and just like getting the game mechanics and a game loop going. Adding a like a big storyline to like have a main story quest or something like that is kind of what I'd say is last steps for what we need to do with the game. Like I think more than anything we just need all these different things we've been planning on to be implemented, and flesh that out first, and then we can start looking at big expansive like storyline type quest things. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Dreamer, flipping back to you for a moment. This is one that we've talked about before, but any insight on the long-term goal for Joule and Joule utility?
Yeah, actually, I'll add a little bit to the last question too,
Oh, yeah.
if that's okay. And then I'll move to the Joule stuff. But yeah, I like if we were to go like full blown into lore and say, all right, whatever features are out now, let's build like a deep story experience around it for new and existing players. If we would have done that today versus a year ago versus a year before that and then like right at the beginning, we would have kind of locked ourselves into lore that then is kind of limits future features. We have a very clear vision of what we want the foundation of the game to be and how it connects to DeFi and how it lends to different communities and different chains. However, like we don't control all the variables there. So we've been kind of rolling with the punches over the last couple of years. And what we have is probably a version of the game that at certain points in time is very different and honestly a lot better than maybe what some thought it would be. And so the lore that goes along with it, I think it's actually really rich. If you look within each feature and you talk to the NPCs and you appreciate what's happening in the background and everything that is said within the skills, not just like the math, there's a ton within it. You just kind of have to look for it. When we get to a place where we feel like that foundation is mostly complete and we have budget to add significant lore around it, I'm excited for that point. I think that we're not quite there yet, but I also think that the lore that's like peppered in is coming together to a pretty awesome macro picture. More recently, as some of the discussions have been going on around, what comes next, outside of, more classes and more content on top of the bones we have. For me, as like the player being the commander in this world, the purpose is becoming a little bit more real. And Bolon kind of did an intro on kind of what that macro purpose is. But I do think that future features and gameplay and things that we do are going to feel a lot more connected to lore over time. But even right now, you can see it as you look for it. I think it'll become more and more in your face over time. And then at one point be able to convert more to like whether there's cutscenes and things or not, making it very clear from the like day one for the player as they're learning things, why they're learning them. So I think it's an important question, but also an important thing to realize with limited resources, there's kind of a good, better, and best time to go lore heavy. And I don't think we're near the best time. It's probably better now than it has been at other times, but it's about to get really good, I think, in the coming years. Jewel, this is a question we get every once in a while. Jewel is a token that is available on every chain DFK is on. Even in our most recent build and expansion to Metis, we did not launch a new token. We opted to use Jewel for that. So a lot of Jewel-rich features there. And then on chains where there's like an actual realm power token, Jewel continues to hold utility, not only in fee sharing, but in game related power ups as well. So simply put, I think in the future, we will continue to have Jewel on each chain that we're on. Jewel continues to be deflationary. It unlocks very, very powerful optional features through power ups. And as we add power ups, there will be incremental utility there. If there is ever a major sex listing in addition to what we've pursued already and feel like that is worth it, Jewel would be the one prioritized for that. And if there are other mini realms as well, which we're kicking around different ideas and how that could work, Jewel would likely be the first choice among before like any other new token that came out. And if we did do a new token, we'd really want to think about how it could be overall like deflationary and beneficial to the broader ecosystem. So if you look closely, a lot of good utility for Jewel. It has not ever really decreased. We've tried to increase it. There are options, whether other chains or new features on chains where there's not a power token, or new power-ups on chains, even where there is a power token with existing burns continuing as well. So that's kind of the recap. To some, that probably sounds like a broken record. To others, maybe that's a good refresher. But that is the token of Jewel.
Awesome. Thank you. There's a part of the question, do we discuss this internally? Constantly. So I'll just add to that. Yes, constantly. We're going to take a quick side trip and answer a few questions from chat. So on the Berserker front, wasn't it reduced to 5% on allies? So yes, at one point it was, but then we introduced Berserker's Mark. And with Berserker's Mark, we changed it back to 10%, but it got a little more interesting than that. Because when an enemy is inflicted with Berserker's Mark, there's a 60% chance to hit that enemy. And then if that chance fails, there's a 90% chance to hit a random enemy, which could also be the one with Berserker's Mark, or a 10% chance to hit a teammate, essentially. So it got a little bit more... there's two layers now, essentially, with the introduction of Berserker's Mark. Have we given any more consideration in giving sponsors chances at getting new Vizzies? I'm assuming that you were referring to hosted tournaments, because that's the one that we're giving Visages out for. currently we're still rolling the way that it was the first month. We are in the second month now, which is anybody who hosts a tournament that runs gets one automatically, and then every tournament that you participate in puts you into an entry or gets you an entry into a raffle for 50 more of them. Sasha and I actually did. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. I took that to mean more like giving people that like sponsor about like an entry to get a VC or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're talking about not you, if he's talking about in general or in the hosted tournament giveaway specifically, which I think had been a question when we first announced that one, but I don't remember for sure. Any thoughts on that, Hubert? Either way.
Well, if it's the way I interpreted it, I'd say that's something we can maybe bring back to the tokenomics committee to discuss. Like there were reasons why we didn't include any sort of benefits to. Looks like, yeah, it was the way I interpreted it. Yeah, when we initially did that, we had some concerns about giving rewards for sponsoring. But maybe this kind of goes back to that question about like the change in the regulatory market on crypto. So maybe it would be less of a concern now. So we can maybe talk about that again.
Cool. And thank you for properly interpreting the question that I completely got wrong.
Or maybe not, actually, because he said host attorneys. So now I'm confused.
Yeah, I think he's talking about so right now, if you host a tournament, you get an entry. If you play in any if you host a tournament, you get a visage. If you play in any tournament, you get an entry into the giveaway. I think he's asking about essentially doing like a third drawing or include them with the participants, where if you sponsor about in a hosted tournament, or I guess in any tournament, getting an entry into a visage giveaway, which honestly I think still kind of goes back to what you said. We had concerns about rewarding sponsors because it's a little bit of a murky area depending on how it's looked at. So I think it is something that we can talk about, but for at least for the second 30 days that's already running, I don't think we would change it. But there is another 30-day period after that as well. And I just wanted to remind everybody, Sasha and I did the first drawing last week. So that spreadsheet's in Discord. There's also a stream on YouTube. So see if you want a visage. Let's see. Have we explored using an AI helper for tutorials or frequently asked questions? I'll just say from my perspective, like it is something that we've talked a little bit about. You need it to be incredibly reliable, and you need it to not answer questions that we cannot give answers to. So there's still a lot of risk with something like that, because if the AI says something wild, now that's coming from us. And if one thing has been proven with ChatGPT, it's that you can still convince AI to say things that it is not supposed to say. So I think it's a really interesting concept, but there's definitely some risk that goes along with it. Anything anybody else wants to add on the AI front?
I guess I'd say if we were to use it to like try to generate a list of frequently asked questions, and like I guess also generate a tutorial that's just written down and like we reviewed it and then just maybe edit it and then release it. That could maybe be a way we could use AI. But then there's a pretty good amount of effort to get it to understand everything from our game. So like it may be more time getting it set up to be able to do that than it would be to just create it ourselves. But yeah, so I agree with what you said though. If it is like a live agent, there are some risks there that I don't think we want to take.
Cool. This next one, actually, I'm just going to give to you. Is the void creeping beneath the Sunder dials?
Yeah, I was actually writing up a response to that, but then I saw you were starting to ask questions or bring those questions up. So there is definitely some void influence happening in the Sunder dials. You see that in like the corrupted citizen, the drowned hero, and the nameless apostle enemies. Like those are pretty directly linked to the void. But as far as like if you're talking about the big slash that you can see underneath the Sunder dials across the world map, that's actually a remnant of the Sundering, which is kind of a part of like the initial lore of the world of Gaia, where humanity kind of went too far with their technology and whatnot in the far past, and a different god, Ire, decided that this was too much and kind of just broke the world apart with his sword. You actually see pieces of that sword around, like at the two divine altars. Those things in the background that look kind of like pieces of swords, like a giant sword. That is actually pieces of the sword he used to sunder the planet. So it's all kind of tied to that as far as that goes. But the void is just kind of an ongoing presence that's creeping into the entire world, and you see it in patrols, and you'll continue to see it in other content that we release in the future.
Nice. Thank you. Let's see, a couple more questions from chat, and then we'll see if we can slip in one or two more that were pre-submitted, and then we will wrap up for the day. Why haven't we utilized outside development? We have in the past, and had some mixed results. We've had some good experiences and some bad experiences. It all depends on what we're talking about, but at the end of the day, like our primary priority is always quality and quality control. And especially if we're talking about anything directly in game, again, much like the AI topic, like there's a lot of trust that goes into that. Like there are financial assets that are being handled by our game, and we need to make sure that there's always a very, very high level of security with that as well. This last question, actually, I'm going to kick back to you, Hubert, unless anybody wants to add to that, which if so, feel free. All right. Any thoughts on AI PvPers?
Yeah, I think we would need a pretty advanced AI system for it to be a competitive thing. Like there are so many nuances to like how the heroes are set up with their potions and their traits that it's not something that can be easily achieved just by doing some sort of behavior tree, which is what we use for our void hunts. So it would need to be more of an advanced AI system, and we would need to dedicate time to creating that. We have talked about it. We even talked like within the last week. It was a topic, I'd say. But it's a tricky thing, and I especially in the tournament system, we don't really want like our AIs to be winning the rewards either. So,
the all-star champion.
Shots fired from Hubert there. Taking a quick shot at the community. We don't want our AI to win.
We built our champion.
I mean, I would want the AI to be a challenge. Like if it's just a pushover, like it's kind of a here's a free win for you. Like we don't want to create that. So.
Right. And that's part of the problem too, right? Like we want it to be difficult, but also we don't want it to be what's winning all of the time.
Yeah, so I just don't think it's a good place in tournaments. There are potentially other places where it would be more effective, but again, it's kind of like the effort to build that is a lot, and we're limited on time and resources. So I'm hesitant to want to go down that road when there's so many other things we're trying to do.
Awesome,
but yeah.
I appreciate it. I'm going to hit you with two more quick questions because I think they're quick, and then we will go into wrap up. Any thoughts or chance of raising the manual quest queue from 10 to a higher number?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think the reason why we put that in the first place was because of like concerns about contract like gas limitations. Like if you have too long of a list of storage data, like you can't load the whole thing anymore, which with the way our system works, like there are times where that would be a problem. In this case, that we probably could increase that cap and not have any issues. So we can consider that.
Awesome. And then last one, any thoughts on buffing Poison Blade with a chance to silence?
That's a weird one.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I don't know about that. I guess I think Poison Blade's pretty good. I think people think it's not good because someone will cure the poison right away, but you just made them cure the poison right away. Like it does kind of force the opponent's hand, because if they don't, then it's going to start being a problem pretty quickly.
And it's super good in PvE.
Yeah, and in PvE it's already very good. And it'd be taking something that doesn't interrupt and make it into something that can interrupt. So that's adding quite a bit of extra utility to it. So
That's probably why.
I don't. Yeah, probably sneaky. But yeah. So I don't think we would be doing that. Also, silence and poison aren't the same thing.
I was trying to think what we would call it, but I got nothing. Like I don't know what we would name it. I don't know what we would name that ability. DFK Elite. I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, with that, we're going to move into our wrap up. Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought trying to think of what we would call something that both poisoned and silenced. Winston, I imagine we're going to not have either of your combatants guest with us today.
No, sir. No. So you're gonna have to pick somebody. Stardust did say to send his regards and big love and happy summer, yo.
Nice. It's a good message. I like it.
Powerful. It's great. It's all you need.
I mean, I'll just assume that TuneFed said honk because he probably did.
He didn't say anything.
Well, yeah, but he meant he always does. Anyway, it's fine. Since there's no one here, I'm going to make Hubert do it. So, kicking off our wrap up, I will say, as always, thank you to everyone who has tuned in live, everyone who will watch this recording later as well, and our audience over on Arena, which is a newer and blossoming audience. We very much appreciate all of you. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions. As always, you can submit your questions at talk.defykingdoms.com or in the AMA questions channel in Discord. Appreciate all of you wonderful people that make this game as fun as it is, both in the team and in the community. Very much appreciated. And yeah, looking forward to everything that's in the pipeline. Winston, any final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Thanks Toon for fighting me. Thanks Stardust for fighting me. And thanks to Mellow Fellow and Ibla for lending me a couple of berserkers. So they failed. They basically just hit each other the whole time. So that's not their fault, but you know how it is. And yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's been good times, and just going to keep cooking back here. So thanks.
Awesome. And Hubert, any final thoughts, and take us away with the sign off?
Sure. Yeah. So, this week, like I said, we're adding a little bit more to tournaments. We do have the sudden death changes are still in the works, but Beetle's been hard at work at that. By the way, he is on vacation at the moment, so he's been working while on vacation, which we're very appreciative of. But hopefully, he is getting some rest and relaxation as well. It sounds nice. I haven't had a vacation in a really long time, but. Some other things that we got going on, just as like a quick little thing, we're always working back here. We have so many things going on at the moment. Durability is still making progress. We're working out bugs that we're finding and getting the front end all developed for that. Still testing and adjusting some of the pet combat bonuses, and we're actually making some pretty good progress on the next class, to the point that we may just let you guys know what it is next week. not right now, but you guys can probably start guessing and getting excited for that, and we'll let you know. It's been with Wizard there was a lot to implement that we didn't have already with the arcane power, but with now that is in place, it makes things a little bit easier for a lot of the other classes that we still have to implement. And Yeah, so I'm excited to get that class out. It's still going to be, several weeks probably before it's released, if not more. And that's always grain of salt with that. But we have a lot cooking, and it's getting really close. And some of those things are really big adjustments to the whole game ecosystem. So I'm just really happy that we're able to keep pushing forward and get the game into kind of the closer to the final state of how things work and getting that all going. And just in general, I'm always bullish.
Bullish.
I found the button. Bullish.
Thank you all, and we will see you next week.
DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.